Women of the Sheriff's Office, we miss Barry, and we thank him for his service. 30 years is a long time, and we thank you for sharing him with us and allowing him to wear all the hats that he did and everything he did for the community. He's truly missed. So I'd like to present a plaque from the department if somebody wants to come up and accept that. I see Lieutenant Kobrin. Oh, he's going to come up. All right. Thank you.
Okay, John Schultz with a presentation. Guys, why don't you come up? Just stay for a little bit.
On behalf of Niagara County Emergency Services, the entire fire service of Niagara County, I want to thank you and your family for giving us Barry for all these years. I miss him. He's one of the guys that I could call and I could rely on for an opinion I didn't want, but it always helped me go in the right direction. So thank you for allowing us to have him for all these years. Thank you.
Supervisor Crocker. There's someone else out there, raise your hand for me. Okay. Anybody else over here?
Good evening. We realized that Barry had three families. One was Carol and her son and daughter. One was the fire company here in Rapids. And lastly, the town of Lockport. He was a brother and best friend to all of us. And, you know, he was larger than life for me. You know, he was part of my day. He'd come in and he'd smile and he'd tell a few jokes and yuck it up, and maybe we'd have a ticket to a raffle from Rapids here. But nonetheless, one day he was here, and then the next day he was gone. But he left a lasting legacy of friendship, and if he taught us one lesson, it was that we need to love each other and to tell everybody and show everybody every day, because the next day is never guaranteed. You know, Barry served as a fireman and he did a great job. You know, and when I looked at when he started September 1st of 1993, well, for most of us, I'm 68, 93 just seems like yesterday. You know, it's unbelievable, and yet it's 30 years. So he had a unbelievably successful and dedicated career as a fireman. But with the town of Lockport, for the last 11 years, he was our dog control officer. And to me, some people don't think a lot of, you know, dogs, animals, dog control officer. But Barry was amazing at the job. You know, he had the firmness to go into situations that required some authority, because some of these dogs, they depended on him for their life, and you know, squalor and bad situations. But Barry always had the perfect balance to be friends and to be firm. And I can't tell you how many dogs he saved over the years. And as our town of Lockport dog supervisor, we will miss him. And as the sheriff said, we now have James Hildreth. So if you ever have any dog issues, James Hildreth was good friends with Barry, and between the two of them, they knew how to be a great dog control officer. So in closing, I have a proclamation for Carol and son and daughter, and I can only tell you how much we miss him, but we do appreciate the time we had. So thank you very much.
Assemblyman Mike Norris, please.
Good evening, everybody. I have really special memories of Barry Kobrin. Before I became the Assemblyman, which I'm so privileged to have the opportunity to do, I served as a town of Lockport attorney. And oftentimes, Barry would come into my office with dogs. And he says, "Look, we have a dog. Do you want another one?" And I would say, "No, I already have Reagan. I have enough." But we shared so many great memories together in that position. And then when I was elected to the State Assembly, Barry was one of those individuals that I really looked to for guidance and support. And he was there to advise me with Ed Tace and Wayne Jago on volunteer firefighters issues. I'm not a volunteer firefighter. I applaud all of you for doing it. But I also know the importance of volunteer firefighters in this district in Western New York and New York State. And I relied on Barry's guidance. Also, the members of the fire department know that you host a very special event for me every year in our corn roast. And I thank you for that. But Barry was always there to make sure we had the key fob, the garbage was picked up, whatever my team needed. And as I think about that, I would also ask all of you who have been touched by Barry to take a moment to remember him and to remember how he touched you. Because he was just quiet in his demeanor, but you could always count on him. Always. Whenever I called him, he was there. And I know that's the case for the volunteer fire department, and I know that's for the case for your family. And I'm just honored to be the Assemblyman, but also a Lockport resident. And I just want to tell you how much I also miss Barry. And on behalf of Senator Orth and myself, we had the honor to have a resolution adopted by both houses of the Senate and the Assembly, which passed unanimously. And I'm not going to read it because it cites all of his accolades, but I want to make sure we present that to you and to his friend Joe and to the chief, so you will always be able to have that in remembrance. It will always be in the permanent record in Albany. And again, just on behalf of everybody, my family, everyone, I want you to know how sorry we are and how much we continue to think about you. And Barry was just a tremendous individual. So, Carol, on behalf of Senator Orth and myself, I'm privileged to present to you the state resolution honoring him for a wonderful life. Thank you.
Did I miss any presenters for Chief Kobrin? But Carol, don't go away yet. Maybe we can set that down. LT, help out Mom, would you? So one quick story. We knew when we walked in here tonight it's going to be a sad evening. It's just, as everybody knows, it's simply not the same. I came on a job the same time Barry came in his fire company. I think I've known him 30 years. And that dude was just the best. A couple of years ago, there's a single mom in my neighborhood. She called me up and she said, my carbon monoxide detector's going off. So being a smart ass I am, I go, what do you want me to do about it? I'm calm. So I called Barry, I called Barry, and of course, Barry always answered his phone. Anytime he needed something from Barry, he was there. And he said, let me call into the fire hall or fire control, get us toned out, we'll come over and check it out. And they did, they came over, and while Barry was there, he noticed the screen door was broken, he noticed the leak, there was a spot in the kitchen, there was some type of leak above it, and there was a third thing that he noticed. I told Barry, I said, this is Stephanie, and she's my friend, and thanks for coming over. That guy showed up the next day with a toolbox, and he fixed everything in her house. And Stephanie was pulling out every dollar bill, every 20 she had to try and pay him. And he's like, absolutely not, you're not gonna pay me. I'm in public service. And I don't even know if you knew that, Carol, that he did that. But he went through and fixed everything in her house that needed to be fixed. And you might say to yourself, well, Jim, Stephanie's your friend, why didn't you fix it? Well, those that know me know my toolbox has two things. It's got a phone book and a checkbook. I call somebody in pain. It's the only reason I didn't do it. But that's the type of guy Barry was. And Pilar and I wanted you to get just a little something that you could remember this guy and that look on his face so that you never forget him. So we kind of got this made. You guys all see that? You may have seen that picture out, but I haven't seen a picture that tells the life of Barry Kobrin better than that picture right there. So I'm not sure where you're going to put it, but I hope you enjoy it. You guys can have a seat, and I'll tell one more story before we move on with the program. Because now that we got half this place in tears, I'll tell you a funny one about Barry. So a few years ago, as I was winding down my career, like I said, Barry and I, we talked a lot, hung out a lot, we went lots of calls together, scraped up lots of dead bodies, just kind of down the ditch with him all the time. He was a good friend to have there. But so as I was getting towards the end of my career, I said, Barry and I happened to meet in the bar one night, just coincidentally, we were both in the same bar. Not sure how that happened, Joe. But I said to Barry, I go, hey, why don't you ride along with me? And his eyes lit up like a little kid. He goes, really? I said, yeah. Can I? He said, Barry, I'm the damn sheriff. I can do anything I want. So we picked a night. It was a Friday night. I said, I'll come to your house. You don't have to drive in. I'll come pick you up at 8 o'clock at your house, and we'll go out and we'll tear stuff up. We'll see if we can get in some trouble out there. So I roll into his house. He was standing in the doorway just like a kid waiting on his first day of kindergarten class. And he comes out, and anybody know the guy named Tackleberry? Ever heard of that in the movie? I'm telling you, I'm looking at Barry in my headlights, and he had more equipment on than I had. He had guns in every pocket, knives in every pocket, extra bullets, he had a vest on. This guy was ready for battle. So now I got a lot of pressure. It's like, I'm out on my first date. It's like, you take a girl out for the first time, all that pressure to make things right. Like, what am I going to do with this guy? So we go for a drive. We spin around Lockport for the first hour and a half. It's like radio silence, nothing going on. And I can see he's tapping his toe. He's getting itchy. And I'm like, oh, if we don't get in a gunfight tonight, he's going to be disappointed in me. So during our conversation, I said, Barry, I said, I see you're pretty well armed. I said, but in the event that, things really turn bad, and I showed him my keys in the ignition. I said, this little key right here opens my safe in the back of the truck. There's an M4 back there. There's a magazine. It's got 223 rounds in it. There's 2 boxes of 50. I said, in the event you got to go back and get it, there's the key. I said, if we go through all those rounds, just run like hell, because we're done. So he was excited. We drove around Lockport, nothing. I took him down north to Wilson, Newfane. We drove around. We laughed. He told shitty jokes. I laughed at him just because I was laughing at him, not the jokes. We couldn't dig anything up. We pulled some cars over. Every old lady driving home from bingo, I pulled over. There was nothing. So finally I said, well, we need some crime. Where do you go for crime in Niagara County? Let's go to Niagara Falls. We're sure to see somebody get shot, stabbed, mugged, robbed. So we went to Niagara Falls. The decent parts of the falls we drove around. I tuned in the Niagara Falls radio, see if we could jump and maybe see one of their calls. Nothing going on. Weekend night in the summer. Couldn't find anything. So then I took him down to like 19th and Willow. Those who know the falls know it's probably not going to buy a house there anytime soon. No offense to anybody that's in the falls, but basing all this on facts, we couldn't stir up anything. So the highlight of our night is I took him over to the gas station. We got gas, got a cup of coffee, and we eventually went home about 2 or 2:30 in the morning. I'm not even sure what time it is. But I look back at that adventure and I was disappointed that we didn't see anything fun. Nothing really happened. But man, I got to hang 6 or 7 hours with just a good dude, a great guy. We laughed, we joked, we talked about the fire service, we talked about police service, we talked politics, we talked dogs. And I will always cherish that ride along. Even though nothing happened in that ride along, significant in terms of police work. It was just two guys bonding. And Carol, thank you. Thank you for the privilege to be your husband's friend. I know I'm going to miss him. I know his fire company's going to miss him. But I also know that he's got a legacy here. As we looked at all those chiefs, assistant chiefs, and everybody got sworn in here tonight, 100% guarantee that Barry had some type of influence in their career. Chief Moore might not be a chief without Barry Kobrin. Yep.
Yeah, you have to do it.
But he influenced, he left his legacy here for Rapids. And we'll never forget that. We'll never forget that. And Joe, what a friend he was to you. Starsky and Hutch, man. You too. I'd be at a call, you two be rumbling up to the call, flying up there, lights are going, you and your Caprice Classic. Those were fun times, weren't they? Fun times. But with that, I'm not sure where we are in the program, but I just kind of wanted to share that little story about Barry and kind of pay a little bit of a tribute to him. But know that he is forever in our hearts here at Rapids and never to be forgotten at Rapids. And I wanted to close out one thing, and I know I'm not in charge of the benediction, but on my drive over here, for some reason I was wondering what the date is. Because I think what I was doing is trying to figure out when I was going to go drinking for St. Patty's Day. So I figured out that's tomorrow, because I've been flying all over the country. I don't know what day it is. But it was 3/16 day. 3/16. So let me read you 3/16 real quick. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believed in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. Thank you, Chief Kobrin.